Hey everybody, Vince Andriaki here, VP of Business Development at ISG Transportation. Welcome back to our monthly trucking market update. If you're a shipper navigating full truckload or LTL moves across North America, you know October is a pivotal month. Harvest wrapping up in some spots, holiday stocking wrapping in others, and those new U.S. tariffs on trucks and parts kicking in November 1st, stirring up a bit of preemptive chaos. Today we'll break it down by Canadian domestic, cross-border, northbound and southbound flows between Canada and the U.S. and U.S. domestic. I'll share the latest on what's moving, where rates are headed, and forecasts to help you plan smarter. Let's dive in, starting up north. The Canadian General Freight Index shows base rates dipped to 0.78% from September, thanks to that post-harvest lull, but they're still up 1.36% year over year as fuel costs linger around 1.70 Canadian per liter. For full truckload, dry van and flatbed lanes out of Ontario and Alberta saw solid demand, but LTL spot availability improved in the prairies, giving you some leverage on shorter hauls. Overall, it's a balanced market with no major bottlenecks. Looking ahead into Q4 and into 2025, expect modest growth. The road freight market is projected to hit $42 billion this year, driven mostly by e-commerce food sales, hitting roughly 10% of the total by year end. Rates should firm up anywhere from 2 to 3% by spring as capacity tightens by fleets downsizing. Plan for seasonal spikes in reefer demand from BC. Shifting south of the border, or north, depending on your lane, cross-border shipping is feeling the tariff. Northbound from the US to Canada, volumes ticked up 1.2% month over month on electronics and auto parts restocking, but spot rates softened 0.5% as US demand cools. Southbound from Canada to the US, that's where the action is. Exports of grain and machinery surged 8% from September, pushing reefer and dry van rates up 2.1% amid tighter equipment availability. Policy uncertainty is the wild card. Those USMCA compliance tariffs on non-qualifying vehicles are already rerouting some auto flows, and Mexico's edging in as the USA's top electronics supplier, siphoning 25.9% of imports this year. Cross-border accounted for 2/3 of the Canadian loads last quarter, but outbound truck crossings are flat year over year, a sign of caution. Diesel's climbing to 3.75 per gallon USD south of the border, adding 1 to 2% surcharges on longer runs. Q4 could see volatility with northbound rates stabilizing, but southbound firming another 3 to 4% if retaliatory Canadian tariffs pop up. Into 2026, volumes should hold flat, but brace for a 5 to 7% uptick in contracted rates throughout 2026. Trade agreements will have clarity and carriers will know where they stand with their foreign drivers. If you're running cross-border, lock in lanes now. Holiday imports from the US can heat up fast. Now, stateside, U.S. domestic trucking. It's a tale of two markets. Soft overall, but there are pockets of strength. Freight volumes dipped unreasonably 1.5% in September as manufacturing lags with private demand at its weakest in over 2 years. Dry van spot rates averaged a modest uptick to levels reflecting late quarter pushes, but national averages are below norms. LTL is the only outlier. Carrier reports show that volumes are down, yet rates climbed 4 to 5% year over year because of Yellow's bankruptcy, which has constrained capacity. Construction's keeping flatbeds busy in the Midwest and South, up 2% on infrastructure spends, while reefer shifts west for apple and onion harvests. East and Gulf Coast ports are tightening on tariff-adjusted imports, but Midwest lanes offer breathing room with looser amount of truck availability. Diesel's at 3.75 a gallon, and it's up from last year. And those incoming truck tariffs, they're set to hike equipment costs 10 to 15% come November. Looking ahead, there's stabilization. Trucking ahead is eyeing a 1.6% growth in 2026, which isn't much. Expect truckload rates to rise 4% year over year as capacity tightens nationwide with the push for non-domiciled, non-English speaking drivers. Small carriers are continuing to face cost and rate pressures, which are reducing the amount of trucks on the road. We can see a gradual shift toward a more balanced market in 2026.